Hello, hello. Welcome to NJ Thrive's Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, June 8th, and you are attending our weekly webinar created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. I hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for joining us, and we're off to an exciting topic, so buckle up. We're going to have an exciting day today. I am your host for today. My name is Uzma Sheikh, and we are America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. And because today's webinar is tech related, welcome to our tech team if you are unfamiliar. NJSBDC exclusive technology commercialization team, tech team for short, is providing technical support and guidance to eligible innovators for SBIR and STTR grants to fund the R&D towards commercialization of tech innovators. And this tech team is providing three main services, and that's no cost pitch to proposal consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, and exclusive small business tech resources. On the map over here on the screen, you'll see that there's the state of New Jersey with different counties, and you'll see our little SBDC logos. That's where you'll find our centers. So if you're interested in receiving counseling, please go to njsbdc.com and refer to the tech team for consultation. If you're able to hear and see me properly, please put a 1 in the chat. Let me know. If not, then please also let us know so we can do our best to help you. And because this is a webinar from the NJSBDC, we'd love for our attendees to let us know where you're from. If you have a small business, especially tech business, then let us know what it is, like what you do. If you'd like to share your website, contact number, email, anything to help you network. Who knows, you may find a supporter, friend, investor, business partner. You never know. So let's get started. What is on the agenda for today? We have a couple of headlines to share with you. These are just headlines, events, press releases, news articles that have happened or are happening, and we like to share so you can stay updated. Then we have our presentation, and then we'll go to a Q&A session. So stick around until 1 p.m. or so. It'll only take an hour of your time today. And we're always very grateful that you decide to join us every Thursday at this time. All right, so these are the headlines that I have to go over. I'll go over them briefly. And all these links will be shared with you in the chat so you can view them on your own time at your own leisure. And this is from Tech Connect, World Innovation Conference and Expo, connecting research and accelerating innovation. This is a conference that's happening from June 19th to 21st in Washington, D.C. And this is an in-person conference, of course. And this is all the information that you'll find related to the conference. It is happening this month, so very exciting and upcoming. And these are all the SBIR, STTR agency partners, all the sponsors, and all the key speakers included. So if this is something that you're interested in, we highly recommend that you visit this website, and it has all the information right over here. Moving on to a press release from NJEDA. This, of course, is really, all these headlines are, of course, related to the tech sector, and this is CSIT to open applications on June 5, so 3 days ago, for 2 R&D seed grant programs. We shared this headline last week as well, and this is $2 million in grant funding that will be available to startups developing food and agriculture or drug therapeutic innovations. CSIT is a department at NJEDA, and the applications opened on June 5th, like I mentioned, for the 2 programs. And these are designed to help startups accelerate the R&D. This is also an initiative in Governor Phil Murphy's Economic Development Plan. what it was. There was an informational webinar that happened on June 5th. I'm sure a recording or something is available at the EDA website. We have next NSF I-Core Hub Northeast Region, an event that's happening June 6th, 13th, and 20th. 6th has already passed, but there are still 2 more opportunities for sessions. And date, when and where, this is June 6th, or I'm assuming at the 2 times, it's also from 9:30 to 11 a.m. It is online, it is not in person, so still have time to register. Oh, by looking at this, the June 13th session is in person and the June 20th session is on Zoom. So you can view all the details over here. Next is same from NSF I-Core Hub Northeast Region, and this is a clean tech cohort info session, June 9th, which is tomorrow, so 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And this is a 4-week clean tech Propel Us I-Core cohort, collaboration with the Clean Tech Open Northeast and the Northeast I-Core Hub. It's to support research teams and aspiring startups with clean tech innovations to advance those technologies forward so we can solve our greatest environmental and energy challenges. This program is providing specialized training and mini grants of up to $3,000 to teams interested in exploring the commercial viability of their ideas for products and businesses that are based on their own inventions, university, intellectual property, or any STEM-related technology. So pretty cool stuff. Please do check it out if this is right up your alley. Definitely recommend, especially if these types of programs are free. At least the informational sessions are free to attend. Why not? Okay, and the next one is also from the same organization. Propel Us I-Core Regional Program, July to August 2023. You will have to apply by the end of this month, so June 29th, and it will be held on July 24th, July 26th, August 2nd, and August 16th. It is online, so you do have to register. And those are all the program session dates. And the benefits of this is training. So 4 sessions introducing the Lean Launchpad methodology, funding grants of up to $3,000 provided to each selected team, resources, so teams select mentorship from seasoned entrepreneurs and innovators, and follow-up opportunities from the upon completion, teams are eligible for the National I-Core Teams Program, which provides an intensive 7-week training course and a $50,000 grant. All right, so a lot of the details I didn't go over just to save our time, but please follow up on these links and let us know if you have any questions, and we'll do our best to help you. Okay, so we've done these headlines. Now moving on to some housekeeping rules that we like to have. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box. That is different from the chat box. We will have a Q&A session, and we'd like to, we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions, get to them on time. So just to differentiate, this webinar is being recorded, and the link to where it will be available in the library will be shared throughout the webinar. So it will be available in 2 to 3 business days. So the recording will be there. And if you'd like to receive the slides, the presentation material, the webinar resources, all you have to do is complete a brief survey. And once you finish that survey and hit the submit button, it'll take you to a page where it'll provide you with the link to the slides. All right, I'm sure you're excited to get to our presenter. We have David Lintz today. Dave is our NJSBDC tech consultant for Intro to SBIR STTR grants, $2 million for your tech innovation for zero equity. Dave, welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and please share your screen.
Okay, you can see it okay?
Yes. We're good.
Great, great. Let's get started. Just to let you know who I am, I've been around for a while, 50 years of professional experience, 20 plus years experience with SBIR. I've been a reviewer for the federal SBIR agencies. I've helped develop state SBIR support programs, and I was a TIPIS Award winner and also an I-Corps mentor. So I've been in and around SBIR for quite some time. I don't have all the answers, but we can certainly, I know where to get them. So let's move on. Today we're going to talk about what is SBIR, 10 reasons why you might think about pursuing SBIR, a little description of the program. It's a 3-phase program. And then we'll discuss a little bit whether this is a good fit for your company right now. And then just a few thoughts on how to get started. So let's get started talking about SBIR. First of all, it's administered by the SBA, but there's 11 different federal agencies that have an SBIR program, and every one of them has their own timetables, their own topics, their own sets of rules, and so forth. So it can be quite complex. If you want an introduction to SBA, just go to the SBIR.gov website, and on it they have a whole series of tutorials which will give you more details on some of the things I'm talking about today. So let's start off. What is SBIR? Let's look at the words first of all. Small Business Innovation Research. So small business in SBIR lingo is less than 500 employees, and we'll talk about more eligibility questions in just a few minutes. Innovation, the second word is innovation. This is very important because we're talking about ideas here that have technical novelty and technical risk. In other words, these are things that are new developments that are not already commercialized or that are not well along in the development stage. But there's a high degree of technical novelty and a high degree of technical risk. Typically something that might be a little bit early for investors in some cases. And that's part of the purpose of the program, to tap the innovation that resides within small businesses in the US and get them an early start funding toward a commercial pathway. And then the last word, research, is very important. This is research to fill technical gaps and to prove feasibility. So when we say research here, we're not talking about market research. We're not talking about literature research or library research. We're talking about technical scientific research that's going to develop technology that leads to feasibility. Now, there's a sister program to the SBIR called STTR, and I'm going to be lumping them together in my comments because my comments are more general. They're conceptually very similar. But STTR was created, that stands for Small Business Technology Transfer Research. And that was created by Congress so that to help develop or facilitate the commercialization of technology that's developed by universities. So the key thing again, the key word again is tech transfer. And what that really means is commercial merit. The federal government is interested in funding things that have commercial merit. In other words, they can be developed into a business that's going to create significant economic activity for the country. So why would you consider this? Why are some things to think about? Well, first of all, there's 11 different agencies and includes National Institutes of Health, Department of Defense, NASA, National Science Foundation, the Ag Department and Department of Energy are among the largest. And they provide almost $4 billion a year annually that's earmarked specifically for small businesses. So there's a chance there's something out there for you. It might be hard to find, and that's why we're having this meeting today, so you can learn how to get started in discovering where these opportunities are. And furthermore, up to $2 million per project is available directly to small technology businesses to do research and development of an innovative technology. And many small businesses get multiple awards over. There are New Jersey companies that have gotten over $10 million worth of awards for various projects, but each project can have up to $2 million of funding. Here are the 11 agencies that participate. And the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 agencies, it's the Department of Agriculture just recently was added to the STTR program. These 6 agencies are large enough so that they can have an STTR program as well. So that's 11 agencies. 6 of them also have an STTR program. So what are some other reasons to pursue it? Well, first of all, every year there's nearly 7,000 awards made, or 70 different solicitations, 1,500 different topics. In other words, this is quite broad. It's still all in the technology space, but there could be an opportunity for you in there somewhere. Another reason is this is non-dilutive early stage capital. Hopefully you know what that means. That means you're not giving up any stock in your company. You don't have to pay it back. And so it's non-dilutive early stage capital. But I say it's not free because you do have to do some work to earn it. And some of the work I'm talking about here is the proposals, it's a competitive proposal process. Not everyone that applies gets awarded. Another reason is it allows you to build intellectual property that you own. The patents that come out of your research are your patents that your company owns. Another reason is it allows you or gives you an opportunity to perhaps build technical staff that you otherwise couldn't afford. And I remember when I was with a small business and we were getting federal research grants, one of the first ones we got was a large award that allowed us to hire a key person, a world expert in this particular science that we were developing. And he eventually became the chief science officer of the company, chief technology officer. So this is a way for you to build technical staff. It's also a vehicle to leverage other people's other facilities and equipment and expertise, and to build relationships with the federal agencies, with national labs, universities, not-for-profit research. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes it's difficult to approach a university or a large corporation and say, I need your help, or I want to collaborate with you. That may be a difficult process. But if you come to them saying, I'm pursuing this SBIR award, I have good indication that this is something of interest to the agencies, we'll be awarded up to $2 million for this, and I would like to work together with you on it. Well, that's the SBIR program gives you that vehicle to leverage these other resources. Another thing that's quite important, and I've heard this time and time again, a peer-reviewed federal award demonstrates credibility to investors and to partners. And if you're a small business, you likely need investors and or partners along the way. This peer-reviewed federal award will help give your company credibility in the technical and commercial space. And number 9, I've got here, develop new products or services for sale commercially. You actually establish a sole source marketing position with the government by receiving this SBIR award. And just to remind everyone, this is a technology commercialization program. And last, number 10, I contend that this process is worth it. Even if you don't get an award, that the process is worth it because of the strategies you develop, the planning you do along the way, and the people and the partners that you meet along the way. The process is worth it. So if those are good reasons for your company to consider this, let's take a look more detail about what the program looks like. The SBIR is a 3-phase program, and we're across the x-axis here, we're looking at technology readiness. So there's a phase 1, which is you can consider a feasibility phase. And every agency, again, is different, but it's from 100,000 to as much as 275,000. And I've seen actually more than that in a phase 1 award. The feasibility phase. And then if you win that award and you have good results in phase one, you have the opportunity to compete for a phase two, which is nominally called a prototype phase. And that's where you're going to take the technology further toward a commercial end. And then finally, there's phase three. Now, phase one and two are funded by the SBIR program. Phase three is not funded by the SBIR program. But you need to understand the expectation of the federal agencies when they fund these first two phases for your company. The expectation is that you will bring this to commercialization. So the program, what does the program look like? Well, to get the phase one funding, you have to put together a technical proposal. You have to discuss the market opportunity, because remember, this proposal is going to be reviewed on both scientific merit as well as commercial merit. So you need to be able to discuss the market opportunity for your technology. In other words, it can't just be an idea floating out there in space somehow. You've got to somehow tie it to a commercial pathway and an end product that's going to create economic activity. You need to be able to discuss a project team. Now, the project team is more than just the people working on this project. In a phase one project, you're not going to be able to afford that many people, but you've got to be able to show that you've got a project team with your company, or that you can put together a project team with your company that will ultimately take it to commercialization. And then you need to discuss the environment of your company. What do your patents look like? What do your facilities look like? Do you have the facilities that you're going to need to do the work, or can you get those facilities through leasing or through partnership or whatever? And then finally, you talk about a budget. For phase two, when you're pursuing a phase two, if phase one is successful and you meet your objectives in phase one, you'll have the opportunity to go to phase two. And phase two is largely the same type of proposal containing the same kind of information with two additions. First of all, you'll discuss your phase one final report, which will discuss how you did and present data showing how that you proved feasibility for your idea. And then in addition to the technical proposal, you'll have to be putting together a 10 to 15 page commercialization plan, which is somewhat like a business plan, but it's very specific on a strategy for taking your the product that you're going to develop and bringing it into the into the marketplace. And then finally, in phase three, has to do with sales and investment capital and licensing and everything that would have to do with commercializing technology. Again, just as a reminder, phase three is not funded, but it is expected by the agencies that you will pursue phase three. So now, is this a good fit for you? Is this a good opportunity for you? Well, I'm going to walk you through a set of criteria I call TEST. The topic, the eligibility, the story, and the team. So these are 4 elements that you need to review as your company, or get us to help you review to see if this is really a good fit for your company right now. So first of all, topic. Every good proposal starts with a great big idea that's innovative and significant. Now, innovative and significant are kind of SBIR jargon, and every agency will have their own language. I mean, National Science Foundation will call it intellectual merit and broader impacts. But whatever it's called, it's going to have this idea of, is it innovative? Is it significant? And so to actually be competitive in the SBIR world, you have to have a pretty big idea that is both innovative and significant. And we can talk more about that later or in the question and answer period. And then in terms of finding a home for your project, like I said, there's 11 different agencies. You have to find whether this is a topic that is of interest of one of the agencies, which agency is it, and then when are their deadlines and what are the requirements and so forth. There's a lot to do with evaluating whether your topic is a fit for one of these agencies. And certainly this is something that we can help you with. The next letter is eligibility. Eligibility, you need to be a for-profit company located in the US. Can't be a not-for-profit, can't be a foreign company. Has to be a for-profit company located in the US. And it has to be greater than 50% owned by a US citizen or permanent resident alien or domestic business concerns. Or in some cases, some of the agencies will allow the company to have domestic VCs, hedge funds, or private equity funds as part of the ownership of the company. But still, you see the key word there is US. You have to be owned primarily by US citizens or US business concerns, and needs to be located in the US. And in fact, I didn't write this, but all the work on this project has to be done in the US. You can't subcontract the work out to a foreign laboratory or anything like that. So less than 500 employees is the SBA definition of a small business. But this is not a legal requirement, but this is very important for you to think about in terms of whether your company is eligible to be for an SBIR. You need to think about having the staff and facilities that are able to prepare a scholarly document and to execute a peer-reviewed research project. Now, if you don't know what that is, maybe you don't have the staff and facilities to be competitive in the SBIR world. But again, you have to have somebody that knows how to write a scholarly, well-referenced document with references and a strong, compelling argument as to why your research is a good idea and how you're going to conduct it. And it has to be, you have to be able to execute the kind of research that would be commensurate with the kind of research that a university does and writes papers about it. And it gets published in a peer-reviewed research journal. Now, am I saying you have to have a university? No, I'm not saying you have to have a university, but you do have to be able to write a scholarly document and conduct the kind of research that's going to stand up to the scrutiny of the peer review process. And we can discuss that more in the Q&A if you'd like. Okay, the S in my test is story. You need to be able to tell a story something like this. We've discovered a very significant need or a very significant problem. This is a problem that people have tried to work on and haven't been able to answer it, or the existing solutions are just inadequate. And if we can come up with a better answer, it would make a significant impact. So what we have done is we've come up with an innovative solution. That means we have an invention or we have a new insight to the problem. We've come up with something new that we think addresses the problem and solves it in a way that's never been done before, and both in terms of being feasible and actually working, and creates an opportunity that's very large, that will lead to very large impact. But we haven't developed it all the way yet. There are 2 to 3 key research questions or key technical issues that we need to answer. And if we answer these 3 questions, then we will be able to show that our idea is feasible and that it'll work. And when I say feasible, I don't mean that just that it works from a scientific point of view, but it works in a way that will lead to a product that has high commercial impact. High commercial impact. In other words, success is not just proving that it works, but it's proving that it works in a way that will lead to high commercial impact. So if you can tell a story like that, then you have a pretty good basis for writing a competitive proposal. Now, the last T in test is winning team. And this is an important factor for small businesses, because many of the companies, I'll say this, some of the companies that win these awards have 10, 25, 30, 50, even 100 people in them. And so they have a pretty broad team. But many of the companies that win these awards are new startups, or they might have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 people. So it's very important if you're a very small company or just starting out, it's very important for them to be able to show that you still have put together a strong team. So let's think about what the aspects of that are. First of all, principal investigator. The most important person is the person that's going to be identified as the principal investigator on this award. And that person directs the project, both from a management point of view, as well as from a technical point of view. That person has qualifications. They need to be well trained in that topic. Now, people ask sometimes, do I need to have a PhD? No, you don't have to have a PhD. But I'll give you an example. A small business I worked with had a person who had retired from working from Harley Davidson and working for Briggs and Stratton, and he had a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, but he also had 40 years of engine experience, engine design, engine development, and so forth. And he was able to win awards for the Department of Defense in helping them to improve and increase the power of the Humvees operating in the desert by 40%. And he was able to win that award. So again, you have to be well trained and well qualified, perhaps even a high level of expertise in the area that you're going to be proposing about. And the person has to be able to demonstrate that they can run a research project. And when I mean run a research project, that means keep to the schedule, keep to the goals, keep to the milestones, keep to the budget, and so forth. So, and then finally, the person has to, and I say usually, they has to be an employee of the small business. In other words, you might identify someone who's a principal investigator that maybe isn't in your company yet, but you can hire them and they will become an employee of your company if you get this award. So you have to, when the project is being run, this person has to be an employee of the small business. An employee means that more than 50% of their employment has to be with the small business. That doesn't mean you can have a half-time apartment at the university and a half-time appointment at the small business. That won't work because that's not more than 50%. So you have to be, the principal investigator is very key. That's why I've spent some extra time talking about it. You also have to have the scientific or technical team, the right technicians and scientists to do the work, perhaps collaborators and consultants. And then you need to think about whether they're strategic advisors or partners, university researchers, consultants. And I say here, market and business consultants, these people will probably not be able to build time to this project, but it's still important for you to identify who are your market and your business consultants or advisors, so that when you do present your team, even if they're not going to be working or billing to this project, so to speak, they're still part of your team, and you can show that you have a strong team because of that. So that's the test. Those are the 4 elements that I would go through with you. If you called me up and say, "Is this a good fit for my company?" We'd work our way through those, and it wouldn't take very long, but we'd work our way through those to see if the SBIR is a good fit for your company and whether you could be competitive in these awards. So how we get started? Well, I would advise several things for you if you're thinking about this. The first one might be to attend a national conference. Now that's Tech Connect conference that Uzma talked about at the beginning, coming up here in June. That will be an excellent opportunity. They'll have SBIR sessions there. The good part about an SBIR conference is they have actual people from the different agencies there, and you can, most of the time, you can set up appointments for one-on-one meetings with these people to talk to them. So SBIR conference is very good in meeting the agencies, finding out what's important to them, and also learning some tips about how to be competitive in this world. You need to review the SBIR Gov website that I referred you to and the tutorials. One of the things you can do is look at research that's been previously funded by this agency, especially under the SBIR program. You need to read the entire solicitation carefully, because there might be some things in there that either you can't do or you don't want to do, or it would be very difficult for you to do. So it's very important for you to read the entire solicitation carefully. I would always advise speaking to the agency's technical topic manager. It's the same thing as you would do it in any sales process. You want to know your customer. So you want to be able to speak to the agency topic manager. They're going to be very instrumental in making the decision as to which awards are going to be made. And every agency has different rules about this. And so you have to start this process early. Let me just say that you need to start this process early. And in fact, you need to plan on spending 8 to 12 weeks to complete an application, especially if it's the first time, because there's a lot to learn and a lot of things to do and accomplish, letters of support and so forth, that sometimes take times. Letters of agreement with the subcontractors, for example, or a consultant. Some of these things take time. So plan on spending 8 to 12 weeks to complete the application, especially if it's your first time. And then lastly, get help and guidance. And that's what we're here for at New Jersey Small Business Development Center. The tech team is very experienced in the SBIR world, and it will be happy to help you through the process. So let us help you. Here's some things we can do. We can help you test your fit to see if this is a good opportunity for you. And that doesn't take a lot of time for us to do that. We can identify the agencies and solicitations and topics that might be relevant for you. We can help you think through a proposal strategy. There's some key things to the proposal strategy that we would go through at the very beginning. We would really try to nail down what are called the aims. Some people call them the objectives of the research. And these are the things you want to accomplish, the outcomes, not the activities. It's not, I'm going to build this prototype. That's not an aim. An aim is I'm going to construct a prototype that has these features and it will perform to these performance criteria. That's an aim. And so we'll help you think through what are the appropriate aims for your project. Why is that important? Well, it's important because you only have a certain amount of budget, and you have to be able to show that you can accomplish something very meaningful within the budget that's applied, especially for phase one. And then we'll help you think through what's significant. Significance is really defining and solving a problem where the solution has great impact. But significance can refer to the problem, the extent of the problem. It can refer to how great your solution or your science is. It can talk about the impact. It can talk about the market opportunity and so forth. Significance has a lot of facets like a diamond. And so we can help you think through how your idea may or may not be considered significant. And finally, as you get closer to getting prepared to submit a proposal, we can do extensive review and guidance of these draft proposals. And in fact, I personally have reviewed hundreds of proposals and commercialization plans, and I've been a reviewer for the federal agencies. And so our tech team can help you to review and provide guidance on your draft proposals. So with that as a backup, there's a big opportunity here for non-dilutive funding up to $2 million if it's a fit for your company, and if it's strategic at this time for your company to pursue this, and it will take some significant effort. It is a competitive process, and we can help. So with that, I'm going to wrap up my comments and open it for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Uzma, and you can put up the other visuals.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dave. We do have a couple of questions we can address. And before we get to that, I just want to show our audience this tech team page that we have at NJSBDC. So the website that we've talked about this is where you'll find all our information for the tech team. So it'll say, where this is the webinar that we're having today, our experience, what type of support you can get, SBIR and STTR phase 1, 2, and 3 assistance, pitch and proposal review, and support towards commercialization. And we have our NJSBDC tech team, and this is where you can request the counseling. All our webinars that we've had in this educational series are on this library. So if you could just go here, or even if you go to our NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars page over here through, excuse me, njsbdc.com, this is where this webinar that's being recorded will be available. And as you can see, there's tons and tons of webinars that are available, ranging from topics of fundamentals of small business finances to QuickBooks to SBIR and tech and tax tips, things like that. So I just wanted to make sure that our audience knows. And when you request counseling through whichever page on NJSBDC it is, just make sure that you mention that you are interested in receiving help for your small business related to tech. So our consultants know exactly what to help you with. All right, so Dave, we have a couple of questions from our audience. If you have any questions, please let us know in the Q&A, and I'll try to get through them as many as we can, and us and me and Dave. So there was a question that I just typed from Jameer, and they would like to apply for the Data Initiative Grant under the NSF, and they wanted to know how we can help them. So I did share with you a link through the answered questions. So just go through that request counseling link and you'll be able to ask our consultants. We have a question. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, National Science Foundation has a very specific process. You first submit a project pitch, which is like a one-page synopsis of the idea that you are proposing or thinking about, and then it's reviewed by a topic manager that's for the relevant topic, and then they will tell you yes or no, this is a good idea or not, and then you can go ahead with the process. NSF is they're kind of open-ended in terms of deadlines. They say they'll receive proposals at any time during the year, but realistically, they only convene a review panel 3 or maybe 4 times a year. So even though they say they're open and you can submit anytime, realistically, they only convene a review panel. But it is still quite frequently compared to some of the other agencies. So National Science Foundation is a good one to pursue.
Awesome. Thank you. Hopefully, Jameer, that answers your question. If not, please feel free to let us know, further expand on your question. Gaurav asks, do you need to show you have IP?
No, you do not need to show that you have patents already. But I would be cautious about this because it depends on what your technology is, and this is a case-by-case basis. I can't make blanket statements. But the people that are going to be reviewing these proposals are largely the experts in this field, from academia and from business. And so even though they all sign secrecy agreements and confidentiality agreements when they sign on to review these proposals, you can't unsee something you've already seen. So it's oftentimes good for you to have tied up that intellectual property in some way before you submit it. But again, I would not give you legal advice on that. I would suggest that you talk to your patent attorney about that, because every technology, every field is different and so forth. And all the agencies do give you an opportunity. Well, first of all your proposals are treated confidentially. So none of them are available publicly, except for a paragraph summary or a 2-paragraph summary that you write yourself with instructions that this is a non-confidential. In other words, this is going to be publicly displayed. So your proposals, number one, your proposals are considered confidential, so they're not publicly available. But secondly, you can mark, and you're instructed to mark in your proposals specifically sections that you considered proprietary. So you might, you can't just mark the whole proposal proprietary, but you can mark very specific sections that you consider proprietary. So I know that it's not a definitive answer, but I'm not going to give a definitive answer because every case is different, and you really need to ultimately talk to your IP attorney about it. But hopefully you understand the safeguards that the agencies are putting in place to try to protect the company's intellectual property.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much. Hopefully that answers your question, Gaurav. Let us know again if you'd like us to expand by providing us further details. Shivine, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly, but Shivine asks, will you be able to provide examples of scholarly documents?
Yes, some of the agencies actually have copies of proposals that have been submitted, and accepted for funding. National Institute of Health has that specifically. I think some of the agencies within department, or some of the different services within the Department of Defense, have examples. So yes, we can find examples of proposals that have been accepted, and be glad to do that when we get together with you as a client.
Got it. Thank you. Anonymous asks, do you also help with refining strategy for a resubmission?
Certainly. Certainly. If you have a resubmission, and especially if you have some very good reviewer notes from the first submission, it's very helpful to get, an outside perspective like ours who have experience with this. And so we're very happy to do that, to work with you on your resubmission.
Exactly. And on that note, can I just remind our audience, and we always get these questions, or just, something that we like to add as a disclaimer. We, under any circumstances, cannot write your proposals for you. We are legally not allowed to, so we cannot. However, we can provide as much as guidance we can on your proposals, on your submissions, on any of the documents that you have to submit. But just a disclaimer, we're not legally allowed to write the proposal. For that, you would have to hire a grant writer. All right. Okay, moving on to the next one. We have a question from Rama. Rama asks, I tried and failed twice after spending over 6 months, which is a lot for a small startup. The issue was in comments that they were across the spread from great to terrible. How do we handle the range of views that may come from the reviewers in the submission?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you got help, if you did this on your own, or if you got help from an experienced person. But honestly, if you're trying to do this on your own the first time, as I tried to indicate, there is such a diversity in the agencies, and even within the agencies. I mean, think about it. National Institutes of Health has about 24 different institutes, and everyone has their own SBIR program. And each one of them is going to have their own nuances. So I don't think I can give a definitive answer to your question, but I would say that if you can get people like ourselves, like our tech team, who have experience as reviewers within the agencies, we can hopefully provide some insight before you ever submit a proposal that's going to help you with it. Oftentimes when you see that kind of disparity, it's because you have not actually been very clear in your proposal. And again, I'm not trying to give a blanket critique here of your proposal, because I certainly haven't seen it. But what I'm saying is sometimes you have reviewers that have a much higher degree of familiarity with the topic than some of the other reviewers. But you're going to get a consensus review from, from 3 or 4 of those reviewers. And if some of them are quite, familiar with the topic, they may understand something or understand the nuances of something that if one of the reviewers who's not as familiar doesn't pick up on. And so, the onus is on the client or the applicant to be able to write the proposal in such a way that everyone can understand it. I mean, I have my own philosophy about this. I like to write like a paragraph, that's sort of like at the 8th grade level, and then go into the detail to make sure that the main idea, the crux of the idea and the key information is unmistakably clear. So again, there's some finesse in terms of being competitive in this world. And it's not unusual for people to fail 2, 3 times before. I worked with someone here and who failed 3 or 4 times before they got an award, but then they won 4 or 5 in a row, including phase 2s, and got multiple millions of dollars. So they learned a lot the first time, and honestly, they started getting some help after they failed on their own a few times. So again, the reviewer, you never know. You can't, it'd be nice if you could pick your own reviewers, but you can't. So you get the luck of the draw when it comes to reviewers, but hopefully we can help you on your from your end of it to help produce a document that's very clear in its arguments.
All right, thank you so much. We have a question from Shakira. Is it possible to submit a proposal that is strong enough to launch a business start for a product or service that has good commercial potential, meaning enough funding to launch the business?
Well, it depends on what it is. I mean, if it's in the medical field, where you're planning on tens of millions of dollars of clinical research in order to get a product to market, then the answer would obviously be no. But in some cases, especially in the software world, it would be possible. It could be possible. In fact, I've had experience working with companies that after phase 1, they had enough of a software product to be able to had enough functionality that they were able to take it to market and start getting a limited introduction of the product. Even after phase 1, they still got a phase 2 award, in which added considerably to the features and to the benefits of the software. But yeah, it is possible, depending on what the technology is and how much money it takes to get it to to market. I mean, in the energy field, obviously it would be much more difficult because it's so capitally intensive and you have to do it at a scale. You have to, things have to be done at a scale that just is very expensive. So it just depends. But yes, I would say yes, it is. And in fact, the example I gave you shows you that it didn't keep them from getting a phase 2 award. The fact that they were able to commercialize some of the output from their phase 1.
All right, thank you. Francine asks, can you please speak about the Department of Education and the process or any significant timelines they have for submission? Thank you.
Yeah, Department of Energy or Department of Education, excuse me, that's the smallest program. And so they have the fewest awards, and the awards are not very big. And the awards and they only solicit once a year. So, and it used to be the solicitation was sort of in the fall, and then the due date was early in the year. I haven't kept up with them in the last few years, so I don't really know what currently their cycle is. They do have a program. I would say that their awards are small. Their program is small, and they they pick very specific topics. In other words, every solicitation, there's some things that they're very specifically interested in. For a while, for example, they were very interested in improving workforce capabilities of people who are disabled in some way. Well, that was several years ago. That may not be an emphasis now. So I would say Department of Education, if you're interested in that, then we should discuss National Science Foundation, because National Science Foundation has very specific topic having to do with education, and they'll fund virtually any idea that has good commercial promise or has good impact. Everything from gaming, for educational gaming, software, you name it, National Science Foundation. So if you're interested in that, let's have a discussion about that, because there could be opportunities within National Science Foundation. And I'll even say, I know of people who've gotten awards from the military, because military is one of the largest trainers in the world, or educators. And this company had gotten awards from the military because of a very specific technology that he could do that helped in training, in online audio training. So anyway, let's talk about it, because education might be an opportunity, but there's also could be other opportunities.
Perfect. All right, so I'll take 3-4 more questions that we do have left. We are hitting our 1 o'clock mark soon, but let's take 3-4 questions more. Thank you everyone for sticking with us. And Grace asks, how long do we have to submit the proposals?
It depends on the agencies. Usually there's 2 to 3 months from the time of the solicitation until the time of the deadline when it's due. But some of the agencies, like National Institutes of Health and National Science Foundation, their topics are general. And so they're going to have National Institutes of Health, for example, has 3 deadlines per year, but there's almost always the same topics. And so you basically have as much time as you want. I mean, for them and for National Science Foundation. For other agencies like the Department of Defense, they have very specific topics, and you'll have 2 to 3 months from the time they release the topics. And when they first release the topics, you'll have 4 weeks to actually talk to the technical point of contact. They call it a TPOC, technical point of contact. You only have 4 weeks to talk to that person, and then the window's closed, and then you'll have another month before the proposal is due. So I would say 2 to 3 months is general, but for agencies that have generalized topics, it's basically open-ended. You can propose whenever they have one of their deadlines.
Got it. Thank you. We have Shayna who asks, I am in California. Can I still receive free counseling?
I'll let you handle that one, Uzma.
Yes, I just wanted to see if you had anything to say. So Shayna, we are NJSBDC, and because we are a statewide program, meaning we can only serve small businesses in the state of New Jersey. However, let's say you have a physical business, or you are located like as a CEO, or as an owner, you're here in New Jersey, but like let's say you have employees throughout the state, or throughout the nation, throughout the country, that is okay. But we, as an organization serving only this small businesses here in New Jersey, we need some proof that the business or the owner or something is here in New Jersey. So you're in California, I would highly suggest that you go on Google, do a quick search such as like California SBDC, and you'll find something on there, because the SBDC, we are NJSBDC, meaning we serve New Jersey. However, SBDC as a program is a nationwide program funded by the FBA. So I'm sure you'll have luck finding an SBC in California. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and there are commercial consultants as well that will
Yes.
consult with you for a fee, for a consulting fee.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Corky asks, are there additional funding avenues for projects in the health tech space?
Well, the National Institutes of Health is well funded. There are often medical topics within the Department of Defense. So in the SBIR world, those are the two best opportunities. Are there opportunities beyond that? Yeah, National Institutes of Health has several opportunities beyond that. And I think that's beyond the scope of this, this webinar, but there are a few, but the SBIR, if you're a small business just starting out, the SBIR is probably the best opportunity.
All right, thank you. And we'll take this last question from Elias. We did reach our 1 o'clock timer, so I just want to make sure we're respectful and of everyone's time. All right, so last question, here we go. Is the geographic distribution of awards taken into account? Dollar award allocation per region, is that such a thing?
No.
All right, perfect, short and
It
sweet,
is
that's
not.
how we end.
It is not. They say they're all merit based, and sometimes the awards cluster around technology centers, and that's just reasonable thing, is what you would expect. But there is not a quota system per se. In fact, part of the reason we exist, this program exists, because SBA is trying to get a more diverse representation from different states and different regions of the country. And so they're providing this kind of technical support for parts of the country that perhaps are less than average or below average in the number of awards. But so there's support, but there's not a quota system for making the awards.
All right, got it. Hopefully that answers your question. Again, if you'd like to receive counseling, please go to scan this QR code that we have on screen here or go to njsbdc.com. And that concludes our Q&A session. Dave, thank you so much for being here today and for doing this webinar with us. We always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, so we have I just have a couple of more slides for our audience. So we have our upcoming webinar, also part of our tech series, educational series that we have going on. Scan the QR code to register. This webinar will be on Thursday, next Thursday. I'm sorry, this webinar will be on Thursday, June 22nd, a couple of weeks, and it is a practical guide to SBIR, STTR research for small businesses. This will also be with one of our tech team consultants, Cheryl Vickroy, same time as always, 12 to 1 or 12 to 1:30 p.m., depending on our topic and how heavy it is or how in-depth we are going in. So hopefully you can join us then and go to Eventbrite page. Just a reminder, again, this webinar is being recorded. It will be available on the website that has been shared with you in the chat. And if you'd like to receive the slides that Dave shared, then please complete the survey that was shared with you and you'll receive the link to the slides. Just a reminder, the tech team helps innovators grow. This is no cost pitch to proposal consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, exclusive small business tech resources. And just a reminder, if you're new here, we not only have a tech team, but we also provide counseling, general counseling for any other needs that you may have. And same as our services to the tech team, we have no cost consulting for any services that we provide, training and events starting at $0 and exclusive small business resources besides tech as well. Please visit njsbdc.com to request counseling. Our website in itself is a great resource. And you can find many, many other things that you're looking for that can help answer your question. All right, it is 1 p.m. I hope you attended a very informational webinar. I hope it was worth your time. And with that, I'll be signing off. Please do take care of yourself and join us next Thursday for a new webinar. Goodbye.